Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Awesome. Why don't we circle it up? Pull it around. Por favor. And Amy, thanks for being a tiger back there, screaming out. That was fun.
You have no idea
Brr,
what
she
kind
growled.
of strength.
Look at that. Roar of a tiny lion, right?
Heart here, huh?
Come on, Evan. We need you.
Yeah, come on in. Circle it around. The energy is good today. I love it. I don't know if it's the caffeine I had, which is always a dangerous thing for me. So, gratitudes, victories, wins. What do we have?
I'm definitely grateful for being a part of this brokerage and just the growth that I've seen in myself being here. And then I'm stoked for the growth I've seen in my business too. I've got 3 closings this month. And
Wow.
That's
Dude.
awesome. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's what I did all of last year, so.
It's pretty special, huh?
That is.
Congratulations. Thanks for sharing that. Who else? Wins, victories, gratitudes. Okay.
I'm grateful for the person I'm becoming. Even in the short period of time, I feel a difference. I'm grateful I made it to work safe today. And I'm grateful that my kids constantly tell me that they look up to me because that's what pushes me
Yeah.
to every day.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Who else?
No, I'm actually grateful that I had this thought today because I probably would have lost it if my wife was here. But we've had a lot of difficult things that have happened to us over the last few months, and not just in our business, but also just in our personal lives. And I am so grateful that it's brought me closer to my wife and my kids, and also that really anything negative on your trial you go through can have a positive outcome and make you happier.
Thanks for sharing that. The book's talking a lot about that today, so thanks for sharing. Absolutely. Yeah. Who else?
I'm grateful for you guys' successes. You're pushing me. When I hear you guys say all the things that you're doing,
Isn't it amazing?
It inspires me to push harder.
Absolutely.
And especially, people like Amy and Matt, everybody that I just look up to.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, you're
thanks.
part of that, Evan.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
part of You're part of that. You bring a lot to the table,
I
but thanks
appreciate
for acknowledging everybody else. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really good stuff. We are extremely fortunate for that. So thanks for sharing that. Who else?
Since I joined this broker, I feel happy.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That is simple
And,
truths, right?
So I talked to my sister, she lives in Korea,
Uh-huh.
on the video chat, and she said, "Wow, you look so happy and you look different."
You look
Yes, I am.
That is awesome, because that is a phenomenon that goes on here, and I'm really glad you are sharing that experience with you, because so many people who have joined this brokerage have, their family members from abroad have said, "What's going on? You're really happy." Yeah, I am. That's what's really goes on here. It's truth in working towards greatness. So thanks for sharing that. Who
I got
else?
a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my spouse. He has to live with this. I am hyper, I'm ambitious.
I love it.
I like dancing around the house
Yes.
with the music up, and he's just like,
Here she goes again.
and he just
I
lets me be
love
free
that.
to do whatever the heck I want to do. And then I'm grateful for my heart. I am grateful that, people say my heart is full sometimes when they're talking about how happy or grateful they are, but I have learned that our hearts, my heart, they're so big, there's so much room in them. And you keep loving people. I've got a bunch of people from my team today, and I just fall in love with people, and there's plenty of room. We can like as many people as, there's just always room to care about our clients, and it's infinite.
That
And I'm
is,
so grateful for that.
and that's what I love about you and your team, is you reflect that in such a big way. And I personally just love it as a manager here. Having somebody like that leading out here is so good. It takes so much pressure off somebody like Ruby and I. Other managers is just crazy. So thanks for being you and having that heart. I truly appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
That I just want to, I guess, add to that. No offense to anybody who's not on Amy's team, but
You poor fellas.
because I'm grateful for Jorge. He started coming by himself, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to come with you. And then it snowballed into Mariana was going to come, and then Daniel came, and then now Amy's here. So it's just really
Isn't
fun
that great?
to just.
My
Oh,
little
and
partnership,
Sharon as well.
definitely.
You know, we're all here, and I'm grateful for him to getting that
Push us.
started. Yeah.
And he does so well.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I wouldn't come because it's a little intimidating, but I mean, that's the only way you get better, so.
Thanks for sharing that. Absolutely.
Don't put me on blast tomorrow.
Oh man, are you going to be up in front doing? It's putting yourself out there. The book actually is going to go into that a little bit today, so I think it's so relevant conversation. Anybody else? Victories, wins, gratitudes. Okay, great. You guys, thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Really good. So, base camp today. Jeremy Laguerre, the president of Utah Everest, is going to be doing base camp today. This guy's a wealth of knowledge, ran his own company, sold it to George, I don't know how many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago? 6. So they combined forces. Jeremy quickly become the president of our metro and just leads out in a big way. So it's one you don't want to miss. It's a guy, like I said, has a wealth of knowledge in developing your business into something greater. So be there for that. Easter egg hunt is coming up. Guys, these events will spend thousands of dollars putting these on for you. It's a way for you to leverage into your SOI and just invite them back to have just kind of a social thing to be doing and to bring the kiddos out to do. And there's going to be adult prizes given away.
Prizes are awesome.
Prizes are amazing, right? So-
I did this last year. I had a lot of people come, and it is so fun to come and you're
Oh, yeah.
wearing not your work clothes.
Yeah, you're casual,
you know,
huh?
you're just regular stuff, and kids are running up to you, and I got to hand out donuts.
I
last year.
love, yes.
That was fun.
Ton of fun, so
Yeah.
be there for that.
And yeah,
it-
just appreciating them, not just their business,
Correct.
just them in general, and then having fun. They'll never forget you. when you
They
do
don't.
that.
And it's interesting because they remember those things. And probably everybody I talk to does at least 1 or 2 deals from that, one of the events that we do each year. So be part of that. That's a good opportunity. Make sense? Might forget a name?
Mandatory class today at 9. If you have to renew your license in the next month or 45 days, it's a good time to take.
This is a good
mandatory
one to
class.
take. You're going to have Rob and Russ teaching the mandatory class today. It's really a fun class.
Starting
It's
right
kind
at
of a
9.
game. You get in. It's probably one of the most fun classes I've ever taken that's mandatory.
Yeah.
So I would go if you need that, because if you're getting ready to renew, or when you renew next, even if you're brand new right now, you're going to have this class. So it doesn't come around that often. So today's just filled with stuff, just boom, boom, boom. So
Is
make
it
sure you
1
get.
hour?
It's 1 hour. Isn't it 1 hour?
No, it's
No, 2.5 hours.
2.5. 2.5.
I
2.5, I think.
Starts at 9. It's gonna
9
be
to
right at base
11:30.
camp.
That's right. So it's just like boom, right through today, right? From here to that to base camp. So it's going to be a busy day.
If you need it.
Okay? Okay, who's reading the book? Okay. So, chapter 4.
Well, second time.
Actually, I'm listening.
You listen? That's okay.
Listening now, don't raise your hand.
So,
Yeah.
so who's Dr. Samuel P. Langley? What's significant about him? This is amazing. I knew this story, but until I read this and actually experienced it in my head, when I read a book, it's like I'm experiencing the moment in my head.
He's the one that cured, found out that the air that was affecting the body.
That could be, I don't know. I don't think that's in this book, but that's cool. Something I didn't know. It may be. Dr. P. Langley. What's significant? Okay, so let me ask you this. Who are the Wright brothers?
Airplane.
The who?
The airplane.
Who didn't know that? Wright brothers.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys owned a bicycle shop. They are the ones that's the father of flight. First flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a clue of who Langley is. So who's Langley? This is extraordinary stuff. So Dr. Langley was actually a professor at a college in engineering. The guy was just brilliant, who actually was studying engineering on flight. And he had some great successes, great modeling of flight.
I remember the story.
You remember the story? So it's crazy
He did
because, right? Exactly. And the reason I really want you to crystallize on this story because it's so rich in what we do here in real estate. And I'll show you how we tie that together here in a second. But let's look at Langley's journey. So Langley was at a university, the government, the War Department. How much is in 1903 $50,000?
A lot.
How much do you think it is in today's money?
50, 30?
Millions, right? I mean, you're talking just extraordinary amount of money in 50,000 in 1903.
Big deal.
I think you could buy a gallon of milk for like 3 cents. So you look at really what $50,000 can do for you is extraordinary. So he was commissioned by the U.S. government to actually develop flight. And he come up with these models of flying machines, and he kept testing them. One of the tests was a flying machine that was up on the top of a houseboat, and he would launch it, and when he launched it, it's supposed to fly in theory, right? His modeling and his math and everything was accurate. What happened? So they pull it out of the water. The media just ridiculed him. What happens when we get ridiculed when we totally blow it? What do?
You want to give up and just hide and
Throw up in the corner.
Throw up in the corner, hide.
Yeah.
I'm worth. Listen to the subconscious and how it just brutalizes you, huh? I'm no good. I can't do it. Look, our 90% subconscious just absolutely is the biggest battle we'll ever have, right, Tim?
Yes.
Right. We kind of experienced with Tim this morning, right? Because it's one of those things that really, if we listen to it, it'll destroy us. We have to learn how to push past it. So in Langley's journey, it's interesting how he allowed the media. At first, he was like, nah, I'm the guy that knows. But as he relaunched the plane and about killed the pilot, about drowned him, then they really ridiculed him. He just pounded him into the ground. The media, this guy doesn't know, he's failing. This guy's never failed before, but he's failing miserably right now. In fact, the government's going, boy, did we screw up or what?
And remember, he's got money.
He's got money.
He's got a whole bunch of money coming
Right.
to the Wright brothers
Look,
who
look.
are doing it on a shoestring.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Literal
important, right?
shoestring.
Literally a shoestring. I mean, part of their plane was put together by a shoestring. Because look, they owned a bike shop,
Yeah.
and it's just their pure ingenuity and their excitement to do something nobody else has done. And they failed. They failed multiple times. But they weren't the doctor in flight. Langley was that. He was the guy. So he had this persona he had to put on of, I'm the guy. I'm going to be the father of flight. Then it kept failing and failing and failing. And he failed some more. What ultimately happened to Langley? Can you tell me?
He gave up.
Quit.
There's the only reason is his failure. Every one of us fail here daily. The minute I open my eyes, I'm failing at something. How do you, I'm curious, how do you deal with failure? What's your thoughts?
When I was in the military, I was stationed up in Alaska. It was cold. Anyway, let me just get rid of this. But what happened was, I was assigned to a traffic light, was the major traffic light for the entire post. And there was no cars. I was working midnight shifts over and over, and our shifts were really long. And it was towards the end of my shift, and there wasn't any cars for a little while. And then I just remember I was operating the thing, because you want to let the cars go when they come. I fell asleep.
You fell asleep while directing traffic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Were you standing?
Well, no, I was. Anyways, long story. I was just so tired. I was working some very long shifts, and then I woke up, and the entire post was lined up for cars for miles, and this way and that way, and oh man, the entire post knew my name.
Oh my
Evan
God.
was famous.
Yes.
How'd you deal with that failure?
It was terribly hard. I got an Article 15. I was demoted. I was just ridiculed. I put down and driven to the ground.
But you rose above it, didn't you?
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah. I was kicked out right at that time. I was just shifted to a lifeguard. And I joined the Army swim team, and I became one of the best swimmers in the
Look at that.
Army.
Look at that. He be demoted, become one of the best swimmers, and dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice story. Thanks for sharing. That's great, because we have to rise above our failures, right? Because we're gonna fail.
This is such a great story to tell, especially with new agents
Yes.
in the room, because is the stat 75% now of agents that, or is it higher?
2 out of 10 will make it.
Okay,
We have
so-
6 out of 10 make it in this brokerage, believe it or not. The numbers are
So
greater with us.
60 or 80% depending on what brokerage you're in. And I think that we get, I was talking to somebody in our team just yesterday about how exciting it is when you get your license, because you're going to show homes.
That-
And then you realize right away that you're a telemarketer and it's not a sexy job at all. It's just kind of boring sometimes.
Painful.
And I was glad that you mentioned something about a gratitude, about going through hard things, because you think that you never arrive in this business, and you have to still keep, I mean, every now and then someone will go, well, you just work with your SOI now, right? And I'm like, not totally, but that's still work.
Yeah.
Still work.
But the thing is that even no matter where you are in real estate, you have bad months where you don't even sell anything.
Yep.
You know, and maybe you have a whole bad quarter where you got to get back on it. Or maybe you have a sucky year where you have 13, 15, 20 things which crash and burn.
That's it.
And you have a low spot. But the good news is that we're not like this guy trying to create something brand new.
Mhm.
We're in an environment where people have already, we have
We failed.
mentors.
We made it.
And people can
Yeah.
share with us what to do and what to do next. I mean, we're not trying to fly.
Right.
We're just trying to be better ourselves and keep getting up after each time that we fail. And that's the difference.
Well, that is the big difference. Look, it's how we deal with failure, each one of us. How do we deal with personally our failures? Here's what I know. If you're not failing, you're not living to your potential. Period.
You're not learning.
You're not learning, right? Karen, and
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that example of the experiment they did with the pottery wheel. You heard about that? So they took 2 separate groups and they just said, hey,
oh yes,
we
yes, yes,
need you guys to create the perfect pot. So strategize as a group, how you're gonna make the perfect pot. Then you go to a different group and they just say, just whip out as many pots as you can. So just as fast as you can, whip out those pots. And who do you think at the end had by far the best pot?
The ones
People
with
that
low
made the
pressure.
most.
One
Yeah,
more.
no,
The ones that did the quantity.
Yeah, they did quantity, right? And so the failure is just is feedback. And so just constant, just like the Wright brothers, they're failing,
It's really
failing,
good.
failing, and they just got. It's almost like this, they're on a map and they have this geolocation. It's like, oh, we know where we're going. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. This does. And they had more feedback more consistently. Where this other gentleman had the money, he had the finances, he had the accolades, and he had to make the perfect plane. And he had to make the perfect experience, and he had to invite the news when he did it. And so he didn't have enough feedback.
That's it.
And he didn't allow himself to suck like the Wright brothers did. And that's like, just like Amy
That
said
is
in
so
our business, it's
spot
like,
on.
it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business or how great you think you are, you gotta allow yourself to suck so you can get better.
That saying that says that
Perfect.
if you're not failing, you're not moving fast enough.
That's really good too. Absolutely, Evan.
You know, one of the things that helped me out of my dump is leadership. My supervisor was a Navy SEAL guy, toughest guy I ever known, and he would make us do snow, these just do our exercises in the snow in our swimming trunks.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And in
Alaska?
Yes. We were doing snow angels
Oh my God.
in the snow.
In your underwear.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was it.
I don't want that
He
visual.
was the meanest.
Too late.
So, but
Thanks, Rick.
I'll tell you, he brought me out of the dumps and turned me into something else.
Leadership is extremely important. Look to your leadership. We have people that suck a lot. I'm like the definition of it. I have failed so miserably, it's ridiculous. And in my failures, it was very painful and public. And so many of you don't know, I've cut a Nashville album. Well, can you imagine being on stage in front of thousands of people and forgetting your own lyrics? Having to stop in front of thousands? The beauty is they don't know what you're saying, so it doesn't matter. But for me, it was like crippling. I actually went backstage and threw up before I go back on stage. You know, and then in the ring, when I was fighting, you got knocked out in front of a bunch of people. You don't even know where you're at. You get up, what happened? You lost. Now you can crawl in the corner and cry, you can get up and fight another day. You look at Langley, it says right here, I forgot my glasses, failure. In contrast, Langley let his moment of disaster make him think it was the end. Why do we do that? You will say something stupid that makes you look weak, crippled, lame, the worst agent. Next. Because the next person has no clue what you're going to say. There's always the next moment. There's always the next day. Why do we allow these things to cripple us? I love this story about the pot. I love that. I mean, it's because they had more moments that sucked that allowed them to improve the pot, right?
I think there's, as soon as you own your failures, even with your clients. So I was just down in California for a couple days with Tina Hare, spent a couple days with her, and she made a mistake. She made a decent mistake on a transaction, and she was on the phone owning it.
Yeah.
And saying, I'm so sorry, I messed up. And then she fixed it. And came back, and I'm like, you know what, your clients, when you do that, and I've done that too, where you're like, oh, I totally blew that, thanks for catching that, or I'm on it, you know, I'll take care of that. It endears you to people when you're human, for long periods of time. I mean, I have families that I've done the parents, I do their kids, they got their cousins, and it's not because I'm perfect, it's just because you're honest.
You know, that is so important, and the book goes into this. Owning your mistakes. Okay? So many want to give this reason. The minute you start making reasons, well, this happened or that happened, you're blaming it on something else for your failures, you lose credibility. How do you feel when a person goes, I blew it, let me fix it for you? Do you not feel much better?
Yeah.
Do you feel safer? Because you know, look, you're going to fix it.
You trust them.
You trust them, right? And I think that's really the real key here, is that you trust them now because they can admit their mistakes. And here's what I've had to tell people. Guys, I've screwed up majorly on your property. Oh? Yeah, I allowed you to list it too high. The market's speaking to us. Here's what it's telling us. Now, in order to get people through it, here's where we need to be. You ready to get started? They're like, yeah, makes sense. But we commonly go in and want to take a listing and their price. We're not willing to be honest and say, that's not what the market's telling us. The market's telling us this. Price it right, things will happen for you. So we have to be willing to own that moment of failure. One of the number one in the world was Century 21. Admitted she was wrong, but fixed it. Who are we? Are you doing that? Or are you allowing, like Langley,
She couldn't really fix this problem. It was out there. I won't tell you what it was
Sure.
because it's a rare thing. But she gave him presents.
Look, there's always way
And
to.
that's okay.
Look, a bruise is a bruise, right? Let it heal.
Right?
But own it. I messed up. I think this is important. First important step in weathering failure is learning not to take it personal.
Yeah.
Why do we so often personalize our failures? You're going to suck when you talk to people, sometime or another. I don't care if you're a linguist, you're a doctor. Dr. Langley blew it. But it's right back to what you're saying. He wasn't allowed to fail enough to get the data he needed. Isn't that crazy? That's what's so important about role play in here. You know, you guys step in sometimes and think, oh man, I gotta kill it. No, you don't. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for an improvement. And we're all improving. You've seen me blow it today. I think you're the only one that caught it. So it's interesting,
Good
but
job, Daniel.
yeah, and he did. I go, what did I do wrong? Let me rephrase that. What did I do that was different from what I did before? It wasn't wrong because I got the appointment, but from my mind it was not where I should have been. But I still got the appointment, but we need to look at our failures as wins. That's another way not to do it. But if we're not practicing every day and getting better, we are failing. Because we're not pushing ourselves. It's interesting, people want to stay out of that heat. Wow, I don't want to be seen. I don't want people to see how bad I really am. Really? We all suck somewhere along the way. And we're going to fail.
Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I
No, I
promise.
love it. I love it. Keep going.
Since I talk too much.
No, you don't.
And just it's really important to know that there's a difference between making a mistake and a discipline problem.
Yes.
I mean, saying, you know, I can't not making enough contacts is not a mistake. That's a discipline problem.
There you go.
And it's really important to what you're giving yourself slack on. Oh, I didn't do so good today. It's not because you did something wrong, you were not disciplined.
Yeah.
Completely different things.
Absolutely. You look at some of the things that they talk about in here as paralysis.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Freeze up.
Right? I can't move. I'm going to look stupid. I can't say anything. I might look dumb. Nah, I would probably never talk because you hear the hillbilly come out sometimes. And that's okay because I don't care. I'm a flavor. And that's what you're going to get. Right? Procrastination. It creates look, our mistakes create procrastination. It's interesting. Everybody walks around the phone 20 times. Well, it's going to ring. I know it's going to ring any minute. Get on the phone. Procrastination fertilizes the ground of failure. Now think about that. Procrastination fertilizes the ground of failure. You have to act. The book talks about acting. Move. You're going to trip along the way occasionally. So what? Learn from it. Fail forward. If we're failing, we're learning.
Yeah, I think all these examples, like to Amy's point, are all directing us to action.
Absolutely.
Over plan, and do something perfect is never the solution, really. It's just massive action, massive feedback, massive improvement.
Absolutely. You look when we put a property on the market, and we have this price that we've come up with based on what the market's speaking to us. And then the market does something totally different. Okay, right now I put a property on last week. I was $9,000 over anything that was on the marketplace. But I said, look, I want to do what I call future pacing your price. They're going, okay, well, if you get us $9,000 more, yeah, let's do it. I had 38 showings, 4 offers this morning, one day. Was I wrong in my price? No, because we're going to have an appraisal problem, right? And I know that, but I'm future pacing the client for what the market's going to do to a house that's under $400,000. If you're taking listings right now that's under $400,000, it's money in the bank. I mean, but you still have to work through it. I still am future pacing them on the problems that are going to come. There is no question in my mind that the appraiser is going to look at it and go, it's listed at $329,900, and the highest offer as far as last night was $340. Really?
Is it cash? Then you're fine.
No, I wish it was cash, but I know what the people are doing. They're playing the game and they're playing the market, and I'm not always going to go with the highest price. I want the best offer. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, solid. And close.
Right.
No matter what the price
Yeah,
is.
I mean, yeah, what's the structure of the offer? Who cares how high it is? I already know we're going to be above what it can praise for.
And you're gonna sell the appraiser anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So look, it's just being able to put it out there, see what the data is, and sometimes we won't read the data right. We will make mistakes. Oh, I was off. I missed that one. Missed that target. We're not hitting the bullseye 100% of the times, period.
Just had a comment to failures and even discipline problems. I think it's really important to show yourself some grace because it's easy to judge yourself.
Ooh.
And that'll freeze you up even more. So it doesn't serve you, so you might as well take the route that serves you.
That's the paralysis, right? That's what they're talking about on paralysis. Look, the reality is, be easy on yourself. Especially those of you who are new. You've got to see how you're reacting to the marketplace. The marketplace it's the same for everybody, but you're beating the crap out of yourself because you're not getting where you need to be. Look, get in action. Let the data come to you. If you can't figure it out, talk to one of us who's been beat to death in the ring and be able to say, yeah, don't do that. That hurts. That's wrong. Or that's really good. I never thought of that. Here's what's interesting. In my time of doing and training and everything, brand new people bring me some of the best new stuff because it's a different view and allows me to shape it a little bit different. It's really, really good. But stand. Be that person. Linz.
Just to your comment, Rick, and one of the things that I loved last week is, are you responding or are you reacting? And I think oftentimes a lot of agents, right, in the industry want to, they respond versus react, and they take ownership of the market. And just this weekend, I was having conversations with just some family members, and I said, look, I can't control the market. I will never be able to sell you a home that's more than it's worth. I'll never be able to sell you a home that's less than it's worth. That's what the consumers think, is that agents, and it's a misconception on our part that we've allowed to happen, that we control the market. We don't control the market.
Yep.
At all. And
Yeah.
so the minute you don't take responsibility or you don't take ownership in that, and that's something George was speaking to big time last week, because obviously it's a struggle in California with agents, is they want to take ownership in the market. You don't control it. You don't have any control over it. And so as soon as you take that step and let your clients know, like, I can't control this. And, you know your negotiation skills, your ability to actually step up and have those skill sets where you can help them in the ways that you can, but you don't control the market. And then to the second point, what I would just say is, it was a statement, and I know I've shared this story before, but I had a experience with my sister. She withdrew my nieces and nephews from me a little bit, where I've kind of been their second mom my whole life, essentially, I feel like. But she kind of withdrew them from me a little bit, and I asked one of my other sisters, I was like, what's going on? And she goes, well, she just doesn't want you to set her kids up for failure. And I said, it's interesting. I think it's all the way you perceive it, right? And my favorite analogy to Phil is first attempt in learning something.
Absolutely.
And that was taught to me many years ago by my first coach in the business. And I actually would tell you now, when I get on the phone and I fail, or I make the mistake, or I didn't handle the objection the way I was supposed to, It's something I teach my team is, are you writing that down right away? Are you writing
Oh,
down
yeah.
the objection handler? Are you writing down whatever it is that you could have done better, right? I think oftentimes agents will get off the phone or they'll get done with the listing presentation, and especially when you're winning at the game, I think is the best time to do it, because if you're winning, right, it's the best time to analyze yourself, where you're not gonna beat yourself down. You're actually gonna analyze it from a standpoint of, okay, I just took this listing, or okay, I just kicked butt and took names and pushed through 8 no's, right? And got somebody over to the company, but it's
It
one
was
of those
actually
things, 9. But are you actually doing that? And so it's taking that time to go, okay, what did I do right on this, but what could I have done better? And I think people often stop with the what could I have done better, because they get on their high horse, especially when they're winning, and they're like, oh, I just took this listing, or oh, I just got this, I got this appointment set. Great. What did you do good, and what could you have done better?
Write it down.
Right?
It's massively
Because
important.
That's the fastest time you're gonna.
You guys got to write it down. I love that message without question. Write it down, learn from it. Here's the deal. We're out of time. Guys, read chapters 8 through 10. Make sure you deal with failure differently. It's a natural part of the process. Own it, learn it. Let's do some closing affirmations. Matt, you want to lead us? Same banged out. Yeah.
A select few.
They can call you that?
The opposite of my grandmother. She was no longer with us. Exactly.
Give us.
Usually your grandmother, they go with gold.
Okay.
They go, Robert,